But Supervisor Foley has been a force in Orange County politics for at least 15 years, and she started with the Newport Mesa School Board and then moved on to the Costa Mesa City Council. And she was, I think, a two-term mayor of Costa Mesa before coming on to the Board of Supervisors in 2021. And she has been a leader in environmental protection and climate action for her entire political career. But most notably now with the Orange County Board of Supervisors. And she initiated the county's first climate action plan. So yes, and we are thrilled. And just to summarize, I think most of you have been here before. All of you have, I think. But as the League of Women, we are the League of Women Voters Climate Interest Group, and we meet once a month on the first Wednesday of each month and to discuss climate action and how we can advocate for climate action in our local jurisdictions here in Orange County. So we are particularly interested in what's been going on at the county level, and climate action plans have been kind of moving slowly in Orange County in the cities, but we are thrilled that Supervisor Foley has taken the initiative to push for several climate initiatives in Orange County, including the development of a climate action plan. So anyway, we're going to let her just start out and tell us what's going on with regard to climate action in Orange County.
Well, great. Thank you so much. Hold on one second, because I'm just realizing that my system is not plugged in. Someone unplugged me. Apologize. Okay, well, that's not going to work. Okay. If Noah is on this call, please come into my office and plug in for me. Okay. You guys unplugged my phone, and that's the power source for my laptop. So can we plug it in? Okay. So how's everybody? So Noah, you can go to the next slide, please. I just wanted to thank you all for including me on this call today. We have a lot to update you on. Of course, we are celebrating Earth Month this month, and Orange County, I think, is doing a lot to make sure that we are progressing in the right way. And we've made a lot of progress. So at the center of our progress for the 5th district, which I represent, which is Costa Mesa, where I live, all the way down to San Clemente, includes 14 communities and 31 miles of coast. We are really focused on our beaches and protecting our beaches, protecting our open spaces. And I know after traveling to Sacramento yesterday, we have a lot of work to do. We were able to get into Sacramento to talk to the governor's office, to talk to some of our Senator Blakespeare, to talk about a coastal development permit that would allow us to protect our rail system, also to create 500,000 cubic yards of buffer of sand on our beaches. And we're hoping that that all can get going within the next 18 months. But in the 5th district, we know we have hurricanes, extreme weather events, atmospheric rivers, landslides, toxic algae impacting our sea lions because of the heat of the oceans. And we have so much work to do. Wildfires as well. So when we first got here, I wanted to make sure that the county was getting a climate action plan going. So some of you already know this, and I know Melissa is very well versed in what we've been working on. Hi, Melissa. We actually got all of the county departments. We started by getting them to inventory. What are they doing for climate resiliency? So we started gathering that information our first year in 2021, 2022. And then we became aware of the EPA grant that we had ability to participate in. And we applied for the grant. We got $1 million grant to create a climate action plan. We partnered with Los Angeles because you had to be in a region. So it was Los Angeles, Anaheim, Orange County, the County of Orange, and the Orange County Transportation Authority. We all got together. I created a task force, and members of my task force included climate action professors like Dr. Kathleen Treseder, flood and sand experts like Dr. Brett Sanders, both from UCI. We also had representation from the business community. We had representation from the United States Senate office, as well as Senator Blakespeare's office, Congressman Levin's office, and then our county, contributors as well, and labor. So we worked very hard on getting the climate action plan going, and we then move forward. So you can go to the next slide. I think there's someone, yeah. So we held a hearing on August 30th. And if you haven't seen the hearing and you want to spend a couple hours getting deep into some of these issues here in Orange County, I highly recommend it. And Noah can add a link in the chat where you can go to our website and you can watch the hearing. You can fast forward and click on different components of the hearing, but we had expert-led panels, and the panels are listed here on the slide: moving towards a sustainable future, climate adaptation needs, building a healthier, more equitable Orange County, climate action planning, and then city perspectives, plans, and obstacles. So each of those panels provided us data and information and recommendations that we used to move forward with some of the issues that we built into our climate action plan, and also just initiatives here at the county. A couple of recommendations that I'll highlight. Of course, as we all know, invest in electric vehicle charging infrastructure. We are inventorying all the county assets and all of the available locations where we can build out our EV infrastructure. The airport is going to be a very central hub for us for building out our EV infrastructure. I just had a meeting last week with the airport, and we have our own cogent plant, so we get all of our energy. Well, 90% during the summer, but the rest of the year, 100% of our energy from our own plant. And so we have opportunity to build out EV infrastructure in our cell phone lot. That's a superpower, as well as in the parking garages. So working on that. Provide cities with increased resources to implement adaptation plans. That was one of the recommendations. And then that's how we're working on our climate action plan. I'm going to tell you more about that, how that dovetails into that recommendation. Exploring new and existing opportunities for stormwater capture. That's where Dr. Sanders came in. The way we built our flood channels in the past was just to collect water and blow it out to the ocean. And so it took all that sand, the sediment, everything else, and it just pushes it out into the ocean instead of capturing it so that we can move it back onto our beaches. So we're working on how do we adapt for the future in a more nature-based solution manner. Considering supporting legislation that supports transitioning to cleaner energy jobs while taking worker training into consideration. A lot of these jobs that are in the fossil fuel industry are these are high-paying quality jobs, mostly union jobs. So we're going to need to figure out how to retrain the workforce so that they can continue to have stable income as they learn a new trade in a clean energy world. Next slide. Okay, so what is the county's climate action plan? We have our CAP, which is what we currently have, and we have different sectors. And what we've done is we've approved the CAP at the county level at unanimous approval. And now we've moved into the CEQA certification. So our CAP will be the only CEQA certified CAP in Orange County. And I don't even know of one in the state of California. I'm not even sure if LA's CAP is CEQA certified. They might be in process. So the goal of getting the CAP CEQA certified, California Environmental Quality Act certified, is that because we did a whole inventory of all of our greenhouse gases throughout the County of Orange, we have all that data, and then we can use the CAP for development projects. We can use the cap for cities can piggyback onto our cap and our CEQA, so they don't have to go through the whole CEQA analysis again because we've already done it as it relates to the greenhouse gas inventory. So it really helps cities, especially those cities that are small, they don't have the resources or the expertise to be able to do their own. And so that's why, and also, or, you know, maybe they don't have the political ideology that they think this is necessary, and we already did it for you. So next slide. Our cap has the following sectors: energy, mobility, resource recovery, and waste. And this resource recovery and waste is a key area: environmental justice, natural resources, and resilience. Now, next slide. In the resource recovery and waste, what we identified in our cap inventory is that 87% of our greenhouse gases come from our 3 landfills that the county owns. So if we can reduce the greenhouse gas emissions from our 3 landfills, we actually can solve the crisis here in Orange County as it relates to carbon emissions. The amount of carbon emissions from transportation compared to the greenhouse gas emissions from the landfills is dramatic. So we have a smart landfill program that we are working on. We haven't got it funded yet, so I'm working on trying to get it funded. I've had our team apply to many grants. And basically we're going to capture the greenhouse gases that are at the landfills, repurpose that fuel to fuel all of our 900 county facilities. And then if there's resources left over, we would try to sell those resources so that we can create revenue for the county. So this is our really big idea plan that we want to try to implement within the next few years. I'm going to pause right here just a moment, questions on the cap, because I'm going to move into our ocean economy and our ocean coastal resiliency efforts. Any questions on the cap?
Questions, anybody?
Nope.
We'll let you move on, and then we'll do some questions later on.
Okay. Okay, sounds good. So in our district, you know, of course, I have 31 miles of beaches. So everybody is concerned about sea level rise. They're concerned about coastal erosion. They're concerned about landslides coming off of the hillside onto the beaches. And I want to just give you a little bit of information about the economy of our beaches. It's not a surprise that our beaches are a big part of our Orange County economy, which right now, I'll tell you, our Orange County economy is in trouble, just like the rest of America, right? We're seeing a drop in sales tax dollars. These tariffs are going into place today, and we're going to start to see a real impact on car sales. We already saw a reduction in our car sales in Orange County, and Orange County has a lot of car dealerships. Even Fletcher Jones is taking measures within their workplace to reduce costs because of these tariffs. So we're gonna, you know, we have to keep monitoring this and following it, but our ocean economy is really critical to us to keep our economy going here in Orange County. We grew the ocean economy about, we grew tourism about 5.3% to 15.8 billion in 2023. I haven't got the numbers out yet for 2024, but needless to say, I'm sure it's the same. 4th largest tourism region in the state of California. And what does that mean for America? California contributes 12% of our revenue to the federal government. And the next highest contributor by a state is Texas at 9%. So we contribute about $68 billion to the federal government annually. And Orange County, being the 4th largest tourism region in the state and 5th largest economy in America, we are contributing to that 12%. So our ocean economy netted about 50,000 jobs. The 5th district had the largest increase in jobs over the last year. And so a big part of that is our ocean economy. And so for every dollar spent on beach nourishment to build out our beaches and to have those nice sandy beaches to protect the rail corridor, we generate about $3,000 in economic output. So we want to make sure it's important for our beaches to stay wide and sandy for reasons that are beneficial to the rail corridor. How is that related to climate action? Well, if people are taking the rail and not driving, we're reducing our carbon emission footprint, and we're having a better quality of life, really. But also the beach nourishment helps to protect a lot of the species that are out there too. Okay, next slide. Next slide. So we have placed sand strategically since 2023 when I took office in the 5th district, 1.1 million cubic yards. Can you go back, please? This is the problem when I can't run my own slides. Can you go back one slide, please? Okay, there we go. So we've placed sand in all these locations. I don't know what's happening. So sorry. Can we go forward one slide, please? Well, I'm just going to keep talking. So we've identified that if we take the sand out of the flood channels, we place it on the beaches, it's sticking and it's really working. So we want to make sure that we keep doing that. And these are some of the efforts that we've made since we took office in 2023. Next slide. Okay, so we also, in addition to creating a director of sustainability here at the county, we also created a South Orange County Regional Coastal Coalition. And this is a strategic coalition comprised of the relevant cities, our Orange County Transportation Authority, Army Corps, the Ahashiman Nation, as well as other tribes and others to form a coalition so that we can address the coastal protection specifically. You know, we have public works departments that improve our roads and our highways and our parks, and they have annual maintenance programs, but we haven't been doing that for protecting our coast. So we're working on that, and we have this coalition. We should be starting the meetings next month. Next slide. So in this slide, what you can see is that we did a study of the coastal rail corridor, and we looked at what are the 4 hotspot areas where we can be proactive instead of just waiting for some weather event to shut down the railroad. We wanted to be proactive. So on the ocean side, there are 3 areas where we're seeing deep coastal erosion, in part because of the OCTA over the years adding a bunch of revetment, big boulders that go out there that caused an exacerbation of the coastal erosion. Then on the land side, a catchment wall is necessary because of an unstable hillside. So that's what we've been working on. I was able to secure $305 million, $4 million over the last year for this project. Yesterday in Sacramento, we were working to try to get the permits from the Coastal Commission, and we think we're going to be able to get an emergency permit. As soon as we get that permit, we have the ability, we've got it designed, we're ready to go. We can get the work done, hopefully before the next weather event. At least we have the summer to get through. Next slide. So a couple of other ongoing initiatives that relate to our coast. We have our nature-based shoreline project that we were able to get funded, and we are looking at building this like berm that's nature-based, and the idea is that the plant material and the habitat churn it up and it creates sand, and over time it just starts to create its own sand there. I'm kind of simplifying it, but that's how it works. And then we also have been pursuing sand transport from Prado Dam to our South County beaches. And we also created a sand compatibility and opportunistic use program, otherwise called the SCOOP permit. And this permit allows cities to get a permit for sand replenishment one time. It's a streamlined process. You don't have to keep getting the permit over and over and delaying that process. So that's kind of a unique thing. The Coast Snap is something I really love. See this second picture, that looks like a little tower there as you are right over there at the beach. We have, this is Strands Beach, where we were seeing some coastal erosion because of the revetment. So now we're participating in a live, like community science project. You can take your phone and put it in that little square there and take a picture of the coastline. And the idea is that as many people taking pictures of the coastline and submitting the pictures, it will help us to see where the coast is eroding, how much time it's eroding in, and or whether or not our sand replenishment is working and we're keeping those beaches. So it's a community project. We love it. If you want to get out there and take a picture, please do. I know Melissa and John do a lot of walking. You might want to walk over there. Then we also have our Dana Point Breakwater Repair Project. This is a project that I worked with Congressman Levin to get funding for, $11 million from the Army Corps. And if you look at this far right picture, you'll see we're going to repair the breakwater jetty. The sand accumulates in that gap there, which is the entrance into the harbor, and it causes like a beach to happen there. So we're going to dredge out that sand, repair the breakwater, and that'll create more sand that will drop over onto Doheny into the county beach there if you head south. Next slide. I'm learning a lot about sand. I've never known anything about sand until I got this job. Now I'm becoming like a expert on sand. Okay, you can take the slides down now. Any questions?
This is fascinating. I think we just want to listen. I think there's one question here. Okay, this is Carl. How do Orange County cities cooperating with the county? How are we cooperating in achieving environmental goals?
Well, the way, at least in, I can tell you in Santa Ana, because I know I work with Supervisor Sarmiento on our climate planning. So in Santa Ana, the city and the county are partnering together on extreme weather, like locations. So if it's hot, where can you go to get cooled off? How can we put more trees out into the community because it's kind of an urban area and it becomes a heat desert here. So we're working on that. Other cities are participating in, we've planted, tree planting is part of my climate resiliency planning, because the more trees we have, the more shade we have. And so building out community gardens so that we can grow fruits and vegetables is something we've been working with the cities on and with the school districts on. You know, the city, there's a lot of ways we can participate with the cities. We have one fun thing. There's so much it's all in my brain and I get excited about it. So I'm trying not to overwhelm you. But we have a procurement program that we created out of our office, working with our procurement office, so that cities can piggyback on to county contracts. And so they can get a lower price point on their goods and supplies. And we have done a bid for compostable products. We've done a bid for, boxed water so that we can have the cities can get the lower price point, because we're buying it in such volume here at the county with 19,000 employees and all the area that we cover. The cities can get a lower price, and we have a lot of great vendors. If you know of vendors, please refer them to our Going Business portal, and Noah can put that in the chat and you can share that, because we want to get more climate friendly vendors on our list of vendors that our departments can shop for products in, as well as we can partner with our cities and school districts on.
Wonderful. Diane is asking, does the withdrawal of federal funds affect these programs and how?
That's a great question. And the answer is yes. It's unfortunate. So what I did when we first got the first executive order, I asked our county staff to develop an inventory of all federal grants that are at risk, because we don't necessarily know if the funding is going to be cut. We know certain grants, because they have the word climate in them, are at risk, right? So we have $500 million in grants at risk.
Mm,
And those grants cover everything from infrastructure projects to senior Meals on Wheels, because seniors are considered a diverse and DEI program, right? We have after school program lunches that are potentially cut. We know for certain of two areas that the cuts are already determined. One is $12 million annually through 2035 for emergency housing vouchers. These are vouchers that we used and we were able to secure from the Biden administration for when during COVID, we were able to move individuals experiencing homelessness into housing. So we have 427 families that comprises.
I think we lost her.
We lost Katrina.
Oh, they probably need to get her power back. She did ask someone,
She's currently her power just died. She's back.
She's back.
she's back.
Okay, sorry, I don't know what happened. So that, can you all see me?
We can't,
No.
no, we can hear you. Can't see you.
Okay, hold on.
By the way, this is being recorded and we'll put it on the website, on the League of Women Voters Orange Coast website. And we'll leave it there for the near future.
Linda, can you go ahead and read a question for her while she's waiting to get power?
We will. Okay. And I think the only other question was whether it would be, the slides were going to be available, and we will make them available on the website. Okay, we have Katrina back. No, we lost her again?
There she is.
Is okay. Okay, now we can't hear you.
There.
Sure. Okay. There you are.
Mute. Okay, there we go. I'm so sorry. The hotspot died. So, oh my gosh, county building is actually tough to do these calls in because we get this unstable connection sometimes. So we're working on it. Can you hear me?
We
Yes,
can hear
okay.
you.
So basically what I was saying is that the emergency voucher program, which served the individuals experiencing homelessness, got moved into housing. It's $12 million annually. And the individuals that are living in this housing, they make less than $15,000 a year. So when they lose these vouchers, these $12 million in vouchers, I mean, where are they going to go? There's just nowhere to go, and they're not going to be able to pay for their housing. So this is a big issue for us, and that's one of the impacts from the executive orders. We also just got word, I think it's yesterday, that there's millions of dollars, and I haven't gotten the exact number in terms of millions. It's at least 3 million, I know, of annual public health grant funding for disease prevention, vaccines, all kinds of lab work for our public health department. All of those grants are getting cut, and they'll be cut as of June 1st. So we have, yes, we're seeing a lot of this as it relates to our EPA grant, through our work with our climate action planning, we were able to secure a $500 million EPA grant in partnership with the Inland Empire and Orange County. And it was a Invest Clean is what it's called, grant to transition big diesel trucks that move goods into cleaner net zero emission vehicles. And this was a big, huge grant, very important grant. So and it's processed through the AQMD. They were able to get, I think, a majority of the funding into AQMD, and they were just like rushing, trying to draw down the dollars as fast as possible. I don't think they got the full 500 million. We're still waiting to hear what's going to happen with that, but that's an area that is at risk. And big deal. That's a really big deal. As it relates to the coastal erosion project, we have 100 million that's from the IRA Infrastructure Act. And so we are hoping, because it's in the rail transportation funding, that it won't become a possible risk as well. But again, all of this is like, the sooner we can get going on the project and draw down the dollars, the sooner we can secure the money and not have it at risk. Because it's what they're doing right now is they're going through every grant and that the federal government has given to any entity in America, which you can imagine is a voluminous task. And they're just using AI and searching for words. The words are women, diversity, inclusion, equity, climate. Any grant that has those words in it are at risk. That's just insane, in my opinion. So that's what we are up against, and we'll just keep working on it and trying to appeal to our Republican partners that care about these issues in the Congress. Young Kim, we need her at this time while she's there to keep us to keep some of this funding, right? Other funding that got cut is all the earmarks that we had been given by all the congressionals in the last year's budget. So $3 million that came from Congressman Correa for a reentry center for our juvenile hall, like a little more than $1 million for what's called a rockfall mitigation project over on the bluff. $900,000 for Poche Beach, which is a water quality improvement project with the city of San Clemente. A couple of opioid funding from Young Kim's office, and then a highway project funding source that's like for the 91, not really part of my district, but all of those were taken out of the continuing resolution, so they are no longer funded. We're trying to ask that the congressional representatives include them if there is earmarks for this next year. But yes, every day is different. You never know what to expect.
Thank you. Sandy has asked about the debate going on with regard to sand replenishment in San Clemente, and whether the debate is raging as to whether boulders should be used to revet the coastline, or the coastline should be allowed to recede and retract naturally. Has that been addressed in the discussions?
Yeah. So, my efforts are to protect the rail corridor, right? So allowing the coast to recede naturally destroys the rail corridor. So I don't support that. And there is no naturally anyway in this context, because our beaches were formed due to development, right? And then the beaches are eroding due to the development. It's not happening naturally necessarily. It's because a jetty was put in the way of the natural the oceanside littoral cell. So because that jetty is blocking the natural flow of the sand, it's not depositing into the places that it would otherwise naturally deposit onto. So what we've been trying to do, and this is where my master's in sand comes in, what we've been trying to do is figure out how to deposit the sand onto the beaches. And then that creates like a sandbar that's forming. It's really fascinating because I've been following this with the work of Dr. Sanders and his UCI grad students. And there is a nice sandbar forming. And the sandbar then acts as like, it slows the waves down and it dissipates the wave action before it hits the actual beach, which then makes it so that it's not pulling back all that sand as quickly. Now, with the revetment, the debate there is I agree with those who say we do not want more revetment out there. We do not want, I mean, there's some places where revetment is maybe required, but the least amount of revetment boulders is what we should be focused on, because what has been proven by the scientists and the engineers is that when the waves crash upon the revetment, it forms almost like a claw and it causes the wave action to go dig into the sand, and then it pulls the sand out and it exacerbates the coastal erosion. So less revetment, more sand, then we can start to form this nice sand bar that will get that oceanside littoral cell flowing in the right way again. At least that's what the scientists tell me, and I'm going to believe them before anyone.
Fascinating. Okay, any other questions on that issue?
Linda, can I ask her a further question on that?
Follow on, Sandy.
A follow-up? Yeah, so I haven't had a chance to watch the council meeting in San Clemente from last night.
I haven't.
No, I can send you note. Once I figure out how to, I was having trouble after I got home getting it. It kept saying it was about ready on YouTube, but I will be able to watch it.
Okay.
So I guess this is what was happening at the council meeting, this argument. So it seems to me that the rail, the rail protection is being more important than, in other words, if you have to protect the rail, then the riprap gets put on. Is that right? Is that the bottom?
No, look, we have to be careful. There are activists and they have a role to play in the space. Their position is very strong about the riprap. They're focused on the riprap.
Right.
But I will tell you, and I appreciate their constant mantra on the riprap because it's actually helping me to get OCTA to focus also on increasing the amount of sand that we're focused on putting on the beach, right? So
Yep.
we need to have both voices so that we can come to a better solution in the end. The emergency permit that we're requesting is for sand. Okay, it is so that we can get sand on the beaches. And I don't know what the controversy was at the meeting last night, so I'll have to ask my team who attended the meeting to brief me on that because I was in Sacramento and I didn't get home until late last night. But the goal is more sand. That will help create a buffer and you won't need all that riprap, right? That's the goal.
Yeah.
Is there any discussion of relocating the rail tracks inland?
Look, there's a long-term study that's underway, but the reality I like to just be authentic with people. I'm not going to try to pretend like this is going to be easy, right? The reality is, in order to relocate the rail, you would have to take out family homes, you would have to take out businesses, it would be an extremely expensive project when we have solutions that are afforded us to be able to keep the rail in place, but protect the coast at the same time. So they're less expensive and nobody has to lose their home, right? So that is probably, in my lifetime, we're not going to see a relocation of the rail. That's my expectation. And I'm planning to live a long time. My grandma just died. She was 98. So there you go.
Any other questions? We'll move on. Okay. All right. Guess you
Okay.
can Go on to the next subject, Katrina.
All right. Well, I think that I covered all my topic areas, unless anyone has
Okay.
another question. But
We've got
I
a
know
couple here.
okay, good. And then Alyssa just popped in and she's wrapping me up because we got to head to Dana Point. I've got a whole series of meetings in
Oh,
Dana Point this afternoon.
Okay. Well,
Okay, Virginia, you have a question, Virginia?
yes.
Well,
Uh,
with the fires up in LA County, Paradise, I was wondering if we learned what we learned from that. I mean, to me, there are several things like getting rid of natural gas lines, going underground with our power lines, and also, I know we're talking here in Newport Beach. There's a gully they're transplanting or taking out the exotic plants and putting in our natural plants. Supposedly they're a little fire resistant. But I think, we really need to study the wind and find out where the wind corridors are to realize that's the area we got to concentrate on.
Well, on the wildfire front, I work really closely with our fire authority and our local fire departments. And let me tell you, the fire departments, especially the Orange County Fire Authority, they know all about the wind. They know the science of the wind. They know what's going to cause the fire to spread. It is incredible what they can solve for, right? And so what we've been working on, and this affects Newport, is we were able to secure 2 helipads, these big tanks that are out. I mean, they're just rectangular tanks, giant, they hold about 3,000 gallons of water, and they're plumbed so that in the event of a fire, our helicopters can come in, fill up out of the tank into the helicopter, 3,000 gallons of water, and then fly out, and that tank then refills. And they can come back, as many times as possible. And the great news is that when the tank isn't being used, it's not full. It's just, the water turns off, right? So we have 2 of those now, one in Aliso Viejo, one in San Juan Capistrano. And we are working on the TCA toll road, the facilities there that used to be for the toll facilities. We're working on placing a tank there as well, a helipod there. So that would serve Emerald Bay and Newport Coast. And the other ones are helping us to serve Emerald Bay, Laguna Beach, Laguna Niguel, and any of the other South County areas. So those are things we're doing for fire prevention. As far as the replacing the plant material, that's a huge effort underway. Irvine Ranch Conservancy works on that. We are working on that all across the county, really, so that we can get rid of what maybe is beautiful, like mustard. It's beautiful when it's blooming. Artichokes, beautiful when they're blooming, but not native, not water, not good for fire resistant plants. And they actually help to spread the fire because they're so flammable. And so they're like tinder, they just catch fire and it spreads. So we're trying to remove those types of weeds, basically. And it's a big effort. We do have, through our Fly Friendly program, which is our noise reduction program that I started for general aviation planes. Those are the small planes, the jets. We have a way for people to win points by contributing to the Irvine Ranch Conservancy and to the Randall Preserve and to the Upper Newport Bay Conservancy. So that way, that's another way we're trying to, support the efforts of those groups that do a lot of native plant restoration and habitat restoration.
But my concern, especially the Palisades, was they weren't able to go up in the air and drop water because of the winds. So, I mean, we have to do a lot of like preparing, I really believe that we should try to get our power lines underground. And I know
Oh,
that's
well, yes, that's
expensive,
a given.
that
That's a given. We are
because
working on
we aren't
undergrounding
going to be
every
able
power line.
to use that water if we have really severe winds. And I think
Yeah.
since we're not doing anything about climate change at the federal level and they're reversing a lot of what we're trying to do, I really fear it's just going to get worse.
Right. So the undergrounding of the power lines is really important. Laguna Canyon Road is a project I'm working on with the city of Laguna Beach and Alex Renagi, who's the mayor there, as well as Sue Kemp. And we're working to underground that, all the utilities there. We have been trying to, wherever we can, I know Newport, you have a program there where residents on a street, you can all decide to pay into a bond tax so that you can underground your utilities, but it takes, getting everybody on the street to agree to do it. And so as we are able, we are definitely moving towards undergrounding because it is critical, especially in Laguna Beach.
One more question, Melissa?
I just wanted to add a couple things. As always, thank you so much, Katrina. And another alternative to undergrounding that's less expensive, still very expensive, but less expensive, is reconditioning. You can reconductor the wires. They're stronger wires using the technology we use now is 100 years old. These are stronger wires that don't bend and snap in high winds as much. And I do know SoCal Ed from one of your CAP things that I talked to a SoCal Ed there, hi, Katrina. That he said they are slowly doing that, but maybe we can push them to do more reconductoring because it's so much better and it supplies twice the energy because these wires are so much faster and can handle more heat. They send more electricity through them. And also, I believe Tara Tesopoulos, she's wonderful. Thank you for getting her hired. She's going to have another public forum on our CAP on May 12th, I believe. So she'll give updates and take comments. Thank you as always. Bye.
Bye. Thank you, Melissa. And really all of I hope you all know, and thank you for complimenting Tara because she does a great job, but she really does take into consideration, because we have regular briefings. She gives me updates and she shares with me who's communicating and what information they're providing and what she's working on, what grants she's pursuing. But she does take into consideration all of your input and it's important to her. So thank you for participating. All
Well,
right, I'm
thank
getting the hook.
So much. We're gonna let you
Thank
go,
you.
and we will be putting this on our website, and we'll be getting back to you, I'm sure. So thanks so
Okay.
much, and hopefully we'll get you on again.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Well, that was fascinating. Pat